Without question, Benedict Arnold is the most notorious traitor to the United States that Connecticut has ever produced. He may be the most notorious traitor ever produced. Period. For a quick refresher, Connecticut-born Benedict Arnold fought for the American Continental Army during the Revolutionary War and rose to the rank of Major General before joining with the British and taking up arms against soldiers he once led. Benedict Arnold was so despised in America that his very name became a sort of slur, an utterance meaning a person who is not to be trusted. While certainly the most well-known turncoat, Benedict Arnold isn't the only Connecticut native known to history as a traitor to his country. A guy named William Colepaugh, a fan of the Third Reich, is another. After being discharged from the U.S. Naval Reserve during World War II, Colepaugh defected to Nazi Germany, and when he returned to America soon after, it was as one of Hitler's spies. Welcome to Wicked Connecticut. William Colepaugh was born in the seaside town of Niantic, Connecticut, on March 25, 1918. He would attend a military prep school in New Jersey, and later, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. From an early age, Colepaugh was fascinated by Nazi propaganda, and by the time he arrived at MIT, the young man was openly expressing his desire to settle in Nazi Germany at the conclusion of World War II. He even attended a birthday celebration for Hitler thrown by the German consulate in Boston. William Colepaugh's positive feelings towards the Nazi regime were planted and nurtured back home in Connecticut. When Colepaugh was 8 years old, his father, a successful plumber and handyman, died, leaving the boy in the care of his widowed mother and her proud German parents. Colepaugh would say his closeness to those grandparents distorted his thinking and led him into trouble. After flunking out of MIT, Colepaugh worked as a waiter and farm laborer and did a 3-month stint in the Navy before being discharged for disciplinary issues. After that, he found employment as a merchant seaman. While working aboard a Swedish relief vessel in January of 1944, William Colepaugh came across an opportunity to align with the Nazis at last. When his ship arrived in Lisbon, Portugal, the young American made his way to the German consulate, offering his services. The Germans welcomed the help. The war was not going well for them. William Colepaugh was put through 2 months of spy school. Then he, and a German radio technician by the name of Erich Gimpel, were sent on a reconnaissance mission to the U.S. On November 29, 1944, Colepaugh, age 26, and Gimpel, 35, emerged from a German U-boat that had surfaced off the coast of Maine, and the spies made land carrying guns, cameras, fake social security cards, diamonds, and a pile of cash. Tasked with gathering information about American plans for building planes, ships, and rockets, Colepaugh and Gimpel traveled by train and taxi to New York City to begin their task. However, once in the Big Apple, the hapless spies realized they had no idea what to do next. How, exactly, were the novice secret agents expected to gather information about American military plans? Operation Magpie, as it was dubbed by the Germans, was in trouble, but William Colepaugh and Erich Gimpel had a backup plan of sorts. They began spending Nazi money, lots of it, on food, wine, and women. Gimpel would say Colepaugh was one of the thirstiest and most accomplished drinkers I ever met, and at the expensive restaurants where they dined, Gimpel recalled Colepaugh handing out tips to staff that, quote, made my blood run cold. Apparently, while partying in New York City, Connecticut native William Colepaugh came to the realization that America was not so bad after all. And on December 26, 1944, less than a month after coming ashore in Hancock, Maine, Colepaugh gave himself over to the FBI. 4 days later, American authorities arrested his German associate. With World War II nearing its end, Colepaugh and Gimpel were convicted of spying and sentenced to death. They would be spared, however. In April of 1945, 3 days before their scheduled executions, new American President Harry Truman, an opponent of capital punishment, commuted the men's sentences to life in prison and later to 30 years. Nazi sympathizer William Colepaugh was paroled in 1960 after spending 15 years behind bars. In an incredible turn of events, once freed, Colepaugh lived out the stereotypical American dream in Pennsylvania. He married a Philadelphia girl and started a business. He volunteered with the Boy Scouts and the Rotary Club and took up deep-sea fishing. By all accounts, William Colepaugh was a beloved figure in his community. In the mid-1990s, Colepaugh retired and moved away from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and he and his wife, Dolores, settled in a nearby retirement community. Few, if any, of Colepaugh's neighbors, post-prison, were aware of his checkered past, but he laid out the whole story for Dolores, even before they were married. William Colepaugh died on March 16, 2005, just days before his 87th birthday. 3 years prior, Colepaugh's loyal bride told an intrepid reporter, "In the time I've known him, he's always been a good man." Standing in the doorway of the couple's retirement community home, Dolores informed the journalist that her husband was stricken with Alzheimer's disease and was going deaf. She added that even if he was in good health, he would not agree to be interviewed. Dolores then retreated inside. In the newspaper article that followed, the writer pointed out that 2 American flags flew from a flower pot near the door. And there it is, the strange tale of William Colepaugh. While it appears that Colepaugh did feel a certain amount of shame for his dealings with the Nazis, there's no denying that, for a time, he was a true believer. His spy partner Eric Gimple would state that Colepaugh's hatred for America was genuine. His face twitched whenever he discussed it. Also, consider the submarine journey from Germany to Maine that Colepaugh signed on for. Colepaugh, Gimple, and 54 crewmen were packed into a 64-yard-long cabin that at some points was only a body's width across. The poor air and ventilation in the vessel caused some crew members to faint. The German sub's arduous Atlantic crossing took some 2 months. In the end, Operation Magpie was a failure. Hitler's Third Reich was crushed, and in Niantic, Connecticut, few kind words are spoken about the town's wayward son, William Colepaugh. I would like to give a shout-out to the many journalists whose work I poured over in order to piece together this narrative. Much obliged. Thanks for listening to Wicked Connecticut. Feel free to email me. The address is in the show notes. Until next time, I'm your host, John Haynes.